Peace, and welcome to another episode of Soulviews, y'all. And right now, man, I have a very, very, very special guest with me, man. A dude that I've been watching for years, man. And he's been dropping off so many dope ingredients for myself, man, that I apply to my recipe, and it helps me with my family as well, man. But he's an author, he's an entrepreneur, he's a trainer, and he has his own YouTube channel as well. You know what I'm saying? But I got Kevin Barringer in the building, y'all. Peace, Kev, and welcome to the Dragon's Lair, bro. How you doing?
What up, bro? How you doing, man? I'm good. How you feeling, man?
Man,
Thanks
I'm
for
feeling
having me.
great. Oh, man, it's my pleasure, bro. Like I said, man, you influenced me with some dope ingredients, bro, and I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you this, Kev, because I got to get into it with you, because to me, man, you're like a book of wisdom, man. You know what I'm saying? You have so much information, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's so dope, man. What led you down this path, bro? How did your journey begin?
What on? So you got to be a little bit more specific on what, just learning information, or because if it's information, that's just who I am. I've been a person who loved information my whole life. But or the spiritual side of the game, because there was two different sides. I was a Christian,
Okay.
coming up.
Yeah, let's go into that. That's good.
I was really, I was a real hardcore Christian, but not like one. I didn't go to church all the time, but I was very, very spiritual and prayed all the time, and read the Bible and stuff, and so that leaves when you're studying religion is all about fear, pretty much, and so if you don't do this, if you don't do this, the God is gonna smite you. If you don't do this, what I'm saying, the devil gonna get you here. You better do this. You ain't gonna get into heaven. All this and that. Everything is about fear, pretty much. And also no accountability. If something bad happened, the devil made you do it, and if something good happened to God did it for you. So,
right.
there's no accountability whatsoever. So that was pretty much my my whole thing. Plus I was in the movies early. I was more so I went to school for to be a screenwriter and director.
Oh,
and
dope.
yeah, so that was really what I was on at first. So I wasn't even into alternative or spiritual knowledge other than Christianity early on. I was all about movies, man, and and writing and all that type of stuff. And so after I got in the movie game, and when I wrote a movie and my movie was stolen, and yeah, that was hard. That killed me.
Yeah, dog. That's deep, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's that entertainment field. You know what I'm saying? They'll do shit like that.
Yeah, well, it was the movie was the Black Knight, and so
The Black Knight with Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
Wow, bro, that's crazy. Because I was just watching that last week. I swear to God. Dang.
That's
wow.
Yeah.
You know what? And because that's one of the first movies where I heard them use Moor, and I didn't even understand it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why they calling him a Moor?
Now, what's funny about that is when I wrote the movie I wrote was called Swashbuckling, like with no G on the end, Swashbuckling, and it it was about 5 kids from the hood going back in time and becoming pirates and going on this super fantasy mission to find these magical jewels and all this type of stuff. And because the movie came about because I was dreaming one night, and I was sleeping dreaming, and I was dreaming that I was fighting on a ship with a bunch of the homies, like we were pirates and shit. And we were jumping around and fighting on this ship and with swords and all this shit. It was crazy. It was so vivid. Like I was there. I was like, we were on the beach. The ship was like kind of docked on the beach, and we was fighting cats on the beach and on the boat. And I was like, this shit is crazy. I woke up out of my sleep and wrote half the movie at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then went to research I went to the library. So this is when I was in film school, early on in film school, like maybe my first year.
Okay.
And I went to the library to start to research pirates and stuff like that. Now the funny thing is, when I'm researching pirates, never once did I come across anything about Moors. Never, not once. When I researched for this movie, I wrote this whole movie and never came across anything about the Moors when I was researching pirates. But I was researching like a lot of fantasy stuff because it was, my movie really was, because I was more into, fantasy and when they would go on these deep missions of, like Lord of the Rings type of shit. So,
yes, sir.
so my movies were filled with that type of stuff, and so I didn't really do a lot of the historical research on pirates. I maybe picked up a couple of books on ancient pirates, but it wasn't it didn't say anything about Moors. So when I wrote the movie, I wrote the movie out, and it was just, it was just funny. It was more so just a comedy fantasy. And I wrote the movie for, who Dwayne Martin is?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
He was Tisha Campbell's husband or ex-husband now.
Right.
So Dwayne Martin was pretty big back in the day. He had Above the Rim. He did the movie Above the Rim. Yep. And then he had a couple of TV shows on. So he was pretty funny, but he wasn't like hilarious funny. And so when I was writing, the lead character in the movie was supposed to be like that, kind of funny, but not really funny. The second character was supposed to be the hilarious dude. And so I wrote that for Martin at the time.
Oh, wow.
And so I had both of them in mind. Dwayne Martin was going to be the lead, and Martin Lawrence was going to be the buddy. And Martin wasn't as big back then. His show, when I wrote the movie, his TV show had just came out.
Okay.
And so he wasn't as big. He was funny. Everybody knew him from House Party, but he hadn't blown up yet. And so it so happened, I went to a party one night with some of my homies and happened to meet Martin Lawrence's assistant at one of these parties. It was crazy. It's like I wrote this movie for him, and then I go to a party and his assistant was there. So this is like the universe. I'm like, okay, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so we started talking, and it was funny. She was an older lady. I think she liked me and stuff. So so she was flirt. Yeah.
That don't hurt.
I was a young cat. She was older and stuff. She was like, back then I was in my 20s, early 20s, and she was like probably in her late 40s. So she was, she was flirting, and then the homies was clowning me, calling her Lady Eloise from Boomerang, right? From Boomerang.
Yeah, boy.
They'd be like Marcus. But they were like, "Did you mess with the Lady Eloise?" I was like, "Nah, man, I ain't messing with that lady." But she was cool though. Because I had told her about. I guess she was flirting with me. But when I told her about the movie, she was genuinely interested in the movie. So she was like, "Yo, I want to see the script." So I was like, "Wow, I like the show." So I gave her the script. She gave it to Martin, and Martin wanted me to change a whole lot of stuff in the script because he wanted to be the lead in the script. So he sent it back, and he marked it all up. And I didn't want to change all that stuff. I'm like, dude, the way I wrote it was the way I wrote it.
Right.
So I just didn't get back at him. I was like, fuck, I'm not going to give it to him then. I'll just keep it and then, hold on to it and shop it to some more people. But then some stuff had happened where, my life situation had got flipped upside down. And so the script had got put in storage. Now, all that time when it was in storage, then something happened to my storage. My storage had gotten taken away because somebody else was supposed to pay. I was sharing the storage with somebody. He didn't pay his part of it, and then the storage got sold. So my script got sold in the storage, and so I didn't have any evidence of it. And I tried to copyright it. I was trying to be pro-black back then, and I was registered with the with the Black Screenwriters Guild, and so I registered my script with them, and they didn't properly copyright the script. So so my main script that I had, the evidence that I had of Martin with him marking it up, it got sold in storage. And then the copywritten script that I was supposed to have, they didn't copyright it correctly. So 6 years later, I'm sitting in the movie theater, and I'm just chilling. I forgot what movie I was getting ready to watch, and then all of a sudden, Martin Lawrence in The Black Knight. And I was like,
Wow.
what? I was
Wow.
like, what? Oh man, I was sick. I was
I bet.
literally disgusted. So from that, but the thing was, this is how the universe works. That in the movie, how you see all that more stuff in the movie, I didn't have any of that in it. In my movie, there's nothing about the Moors. There's no historical. My movie's way funnier. It's much more fantasy filled, and has magic and stuff. Martin's movie didn't have any magic in it or anything like that. It wasn't anything about fantasy,
Right.
but other than him going back in time. But whoever rewrote the script, they went back in time and did the research on the Moors, and so had Martin, and Martin was in it. He was called Moor. Hey Moor, come here Moor. And I'm like, so the funny thing is, when the movie came out, I was on this path of knowledge, of consciousness, and so I was on the Moors. And so when I saw it, I was like, okay, I wrote that movie even before I knew anything about the Moors. It was about the Moors, because going back in time, when you understand, you learn that true pirates were the Corsairs. They were of Northwest Africa. The Corsairs were the true first pirates. And so whenever you see anything about pirates back in the day, they were the Northwest Africans were the Corsairs. And they were jacking everybody on the Atlantic. They were literally just taking people out on the Atlantic. They actually have that in Lord of the Rings. If you go watch Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, they talk about here there's a bunch of Corsair ships rolling up the sea on the side of the rolling up from the sea. That's the Moors. So again, I didn't know anything about that, but they put it in there. So it was weird how I wrote a movie that had nothing about the Moors in it, but I end up being all about the knowledge of the Moors 6 years later. And then the movie that I wrote that came out, somebody else picked it up and actually added the Moorish history into it. And then came out. So even though I was mad about the movie being stolen, it was supposed to be that way, because it let me know at the time I was on the right path.
Right. Wow, that's powerful, Kev.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Kev, because you say the transitioning from Christianity to, going into film school, but what woke you up, man? What made you start to question your religion?
My uncle, he's a preacher, and I visited New Jersey once for my aunt had died, and she had left. I used to live with my aunt, and so she had passed away. So I took a vacation to New Jersey just to kind of get out of the house.
Okay.
And so when I went to Jersey, it wasn't winter. It was winter, actually. More like it was around March, I guess. So it was coming out of winter, but it was still cold as hell. So so I'm staying with my aunt. And I go to the store to go get some food, and when I'm coming out of the store, there's a bookstore on the corner. And so it's funny. So actually what happened before I left, though, there was something that actually happened before I left.
Okay.
That kind of opened me up. So before I took a trip to my aunt, the day before I left, actually, my homeboy came over who I went to high school with. And we used to play Tecmo Bowl a lot. So he used to come to the house. We used to play
love
Tecmo.
that, boy.
Right. And so we played Tecmo, and then we went to the store to go get some food. And so as we were getting, before we got out of the car, he was talking about he was a Mason. And so he went to college in the South and came back. But when he went to college in the South, he became a Mason, and he came back. So we were in the car, and I forgot how the topic came up, but I think we were talking about presidents and slavery or something like that. And then he showed me, he laid out before we got out of the car, he laid out some coins on the dashboard. And then he said, he laid out, dime, nickel, quarter, and a penny. And he said, so what do you notice? He said, what do you notice from all these coins? Or what do you notice that's different about all these coins? And he said, see, he says all the ones in silver are facing the same one except Abraham Lincoln, you know, because he's on the penny. And I was like, yeah, that's weird. I was like, what? Why is that? And he was like, because they turned their back on Abraham Lincoln because he freed the slaves. And I was like, what? And so that, you know, when he said, I was like, what? Oh, that's crazy. You know, I had never heard nothing like that before.
Right.
You know, the symbolism in that. And so I was like, where you hear that at, man? He was like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm a Mason. I learned that as you know, from being a Mason. And I was like, what else do they teach you in masonry? He's like, I can tell you, but you know, he said, I can tell you, but you got to ride on a donkey to the east or something like. I'm like, what are you talking about, nigga? Ride on a donkey to the east and say what? So he was telling me all this crazy shit. So I didn't know nothing. So you know, but he was telling about the symbolism in money, right? So that actually sparked my interest. I was like, damn, how much? I never knew that about the symbolism in money. What else don't I know? So the next day, I fly to Jersey. And then I go maybe a day or two later. This is when this happened. I go to the store to get some food, walk past the bookstore, and I see a book called The New World Order by Ralph Emerson. Or Epperson, I think it was. And so it had the symbol of the dollar bill on it. And you know, I was like, oh. I thought it was gonna tell me about the symbolism on money. I had no idea what the New World Order was. I just saw the dollar bill symbol. I was like, oh, this probably explains the symbolism in money. So I wanted to go in, and the store wasn't open. You know, it actually was like an hour and a half. I mean, not an hour, but like a half an hour away from opening. And then it started to snow when I was outside. But it was crazy though. It was crazy. I wanted that book, so I stood outside in the snow for half an hour and waited till dude came and opened the store. So he comes and opens the store. He's a brother. He's a Muslim from. He was a Muslim from New York. So I go in and so I asked him about that book. Excuse me, I asked him about that book, and he's like, well, what do you want? What do you know about that? I was like, you know, it's about the symbolism of money. So he was like, well, what do you know about, little brother? He's like, what do you know, young brother, about this and that? So I didn't know nothing. He was, you know, he had it was a black bookstore.
Okay.
So so I didn't know anything about, you know, I wasn't on the conscious tip like that. I was more on the Christian thing.
Right.
So he starts showing me around, starts showing me different books, you know, from back in the day, you know, Stolen Legacy and Miseducation of the Negro. And I was like, what? So I started buying just different books. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. And the brother, I just sat and talked to the brother for about a good couple hours in his bookstore. Like and it was crazy. And then the brother, he said, how old you think I am? And I said, oh, you about what? Because I was at the time, I was thinking I was 24 or something. And so I was like, oh, you what, maybe up. He looked maybe just a little bit older than me. I was like, oh, you about 28, 29? He said, man, I'm 40 years old. He said, I got a son that's 18. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, man, I don't eat. You know, so he started showing me all his health stuff that he had. He's like, you know, and started talking about health of the body. This is when I got hip. This literally was my introduction on being healthy and how you being healthy helps you to stay looking young when you're. And I'm like, man, this nigga look crazy young. I'm like, dude, look like he damn near 18. So it was crazy. It was that just opened up. Going to that bookstore, that black bookstore, opened up my whole world. And so I take the book home to my, to where I was staying at my aunt's house, and they said, well, where were you all these hours? I was like, oh, I was at the black bookstore on the corner where, you know, from the hoagie shop. And they was like, oh, he's like, we never been in there. I'm like, yeah, you gotta talk to homeboy. He pretty dope. So I started showing them the books I had, and they looked at that book and they was like, the New World Order. What do you know about that? And I was like, I don't know nothing about it. I think it's going to have to. I was like, yo, this is supposed to tell me about the symbolism of money, right? And they was like, I don't know about that. You need to call your Uncle Tommy. He'll, you know, if you want to know about that stuff, call your Uncle Tommy. I was like, well, what does Uncle Tommy know? He was a preacher. I was like, well, what does he know about the symbolism of money? That's really all I thought the New World Order was. I didn't know anything about that shit. And so he was like, I don't think that's what it is. Call your Uncle Tommy. So I called him. I was like, yeah, I got this book called The New World Order, and, you know, Aunt Bush and Aunt Joyce told me to call you. and said, he's like, well, what you know about that? What you want to know about that for? But he started just grilling me. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, he's like, no, he said, no, he said, don't read the book. He said, I'm gonna come. He said, when you leave. He said, when you leave, he said, when you get ready to leave, I'm gonna take you to the airport the day before you leave. You can come stay with me at my house for a day, and then I'll take you to the airport the next day. So when that happens, so the day when I got ready to leave, he came pick me up. We go to his house, and he took me upstairs, and we went to his bedroom, and he went under his bed and pulled out a briefcase, like a steel metal briefcase. You ever see them briefcases in the movies that look like they carrying a bomb in it and they steal?
Right. Right.
Yeah, that type of shit. Would get they usually have a handcuff, this handcuff to somebody and shit.
Exactly. Yes.
He had one of those. He had one of those
Wow.
briefcases. So I'm like, what the hell is he getting ready to pull out?
All right, what you gonna pull out of there, huh?
So, yeah, he opened the briefcase up, and it was all kind of books and videotapes from this religious dude named Jack Van Imp. And Jack Van Imp was talking about the New World Order, but he was doing it from this Christian point of view, where he was talking about, the world was run by Masons, and the Masons were Luciferians, and the Luciferians they were getting ready to try to wrap the world up for Satan, for the when Satan comes back to take the world. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
So this is all on, remember, I'm Christian now, so I don't, I hadn't been introduced to any of the alternative knowledge of the history of where all that shit comes from. So he's scaring the shit out of me, man. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. I'm like, God damn. So he's killing me with the Luciferians and the Masons and Satan and the boy, I was terrified. So he's like, boy, you better be rooted in God. You better be rooted in Jesus before you deal with this stuff. You understand? Because this stuff, the devil could come get. I'm like, what? So I go home terrified, scared as shit. And and it was funny because so I take the book back with me, and immediately when I get back, I smoke weed. So I was like, I gotta find me some weed. This ain't gonna stress me out. Right. Luciferian shit. So I was like, yo, I had to hit my girl up, my homegirl up. She was the bug girl. So I would go to her house, and she knew the bug guy actually. She would call him, and the bug guy would come to the house. So when I would go over there, though, the bud guy would take so long that we would sit and talk. So I had this book with me when I went. And so she was like, what's that book? And I was, I started telling her about it and, breaking down. I was like, man, it's New World Order and supposed to the Masons and move. I'm telling her all this. She was like, what? And so she was like, well, let me read it. And so she had books in her house. So she had books by a guy named Malachi Z. York. And and they were from Malachi Z. York had something called he had a book series called Right Knowledge, and he was with the Nubian Nation from Georgia and all that. So you can look him up. And so he was Malachi Z. York. He was with the Nubian Nation, and basically his books were responsible for all the conscious hip hop you heard in the '90s, like Poor Righteous Teachers and Erykah Badu and the Outcast, and I mean all them cats were all they were all reading his books and then going out there and making those hip hop albums, but with all the knowledge that they were getting from his books. So she had all those books there, but I didn't know who this guy was at the time, but cats in New York knew who he was, Tribe Called Quest, all these people were all on his shit. His information was filtered out throughout New York and Georgia and Atlanta. Okay. So when I get over there, I just looked at it. I'm like, what is this? And so it had like a Black Adam and Eve on it, on the book. And I was like, what is this right here? And she was like, oh yeah, that's the books that, And then she started telling me about how we were all aliens and I'm like, what? I'm like, we aliens? Like, what do you mean we aliens? I'm like, girl, you crazy. And so I remember I was a screenwriter, so I kept telling her, I'm gonna write a movie. I'm gonna put your crazy ass in the movie. You can. And she used to laugh. She's like, I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm like, nah, you crazy, girl. We aliens? Get your ass out of here. I said, you going in my movie. But the book was interesting because it had a lot of history in it, and it was dealing with words and etymology and where the words came from. So this is actually what got me on to learning the history of words. So it would be breaking down certain words from the Bible and say, well, this is what this word meant in the Bible. And so this is what this paragraph was supposed to mean. I was like, oh snap. I'm like, how many people don't know that? How many people don't go look up the words in the Bible and to truly understand the meaning of the Bible? So you know, that I was like, yo, can I read this book? She was like, yeah, can I read your book? It was funny. I hadn't even read my book yet. Like the New World Order book. I hadn't even read it. My uncle scared the shit out of me so much. I was scared to read it. So,
Right.
But I had it on me. And because I just wanted to show her, I wanted to show it to her. But so I left it with her. She gave me a couple of the Malachi York books. And it turns out she went on, she read that book and went crazy. She got scared as fuck and went crazy. Damn near.
Wow.
From this fear. And I took the Malachi York books and went on the spiritual path. And started and went on this shit. So that's actually what got me on the spiritual, you know, understanding, but knowledge, as far as the knowledge and higher consciousness, was reading these books by Malachi York, and it was in a genre of books he had called Right Knowledge. And so his books dealt with everything from the beginning of the galaxy, of the universe, to the civil rights movement, to slavery, to the 1 year, to how to be healthy and deal with your bodies. I mean, literally his books dealt with every subject you can imagine. History, archaeology, astronomy, mathematics. It dealt with every fucking thing. I'm like, this shit is a wealth of knowledge. So I was just really just killing those books. And so then it was crazy. One day I'm working out in the gym. This is how the universe works. I'm working out in the gym, and with one of my homeboys. He was a trainer in the gym, and we were talking about, we were talking about aliens or something like that. And so he was like, yo man, the homeboy over there, Jamal, he knows all about this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, because there was another trainer that he pointed to across the room. And I was like, oh, you mean the gay trainer over there? And he was like, he started laughing. He's like, that nigga ain't gay. And I was like, because he was, so every time, the reason I thought he was gay, because every time I'd see him in the gym, he was really soft spoken and really, really, really nice. And he would just just what's up me all the time. But I didn't even know who he was. He would say what's up to me. Right. So I thought the nigga was gay trying to hear him. So I was like, hey. So he was like, nah, that nigga ain't gay, man. That nigga cool. So he called him over. And not that gay people ain't cool, but I'm just mean he was straight.
Right.
And so he called him over. He's like, yeah, man, we was talking about aliens, the aliens and stuff like that. So Jamal was like, oh, hold up. He was like, yeah, man, boo, boo, boo. He's like, hold up, I'll be right back. He went to his locker and he came back and he pulled out and he had a Malachi York book in his locker. And I was like, what? Wow. So it was like this big thick book, and it was like I think it was called 2000 AD and What to Expect. The year 2000 AD and What to Expect. And so he was like dealt with every fucking thing. Like I said, conspiracy theories with the government and slavery and the civil rights movement, and I mean everything you can imagine. And like the history of it though, like where it all came from, like really breaking this shit down. And so I'm like, where is them? So I'm like, dude, I seen these books. My homegirl who I go and get weed from, she got these books at her house. And he was like, wait a minute. He's like, what's her name? And then I told him her real name, and he didn't know it. He didn't know who she was. He's like, I don't know her. And then I started to describe her. And I said, she sings. And he was like, oh, I think you probably mean Shua. And I said, yeah, she sings for DJ Quick. And he's like, oh yeah, that's Shua. And I was like, wait a minute. So it was just real crazy. So he knew the girl who I bought the bud from. It was just real weird. So then we get to talking even more and find out we were born on the same day, me and that guy in the gym.
Wow.
Who I thought was great. He was born literally 1 year before me on the same day. It was this is how the universe started putting shit together. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
I'm like, what? We born on the same day. We were actually born on the same day at the same time of morning, like at 3 a.m.
Damn.
Just 1 year apart. It was insane.
Yeah, that's those synchronicities, man. Those.
So he was like, yeah, man. I go to this school. I go to this this class on Sundays where we be breaking down religion and the history of religion and stuff. a lot of this dealt with, the knowledge from these books. You need to come down and check us out, man. I'm like, but where you at? He's like, yeah, I'm in Pasadena, man. It's in Pasadena. Uh, you know, uh, just check us out. Man, the dude who be teaching, this nigga's crazy, funny. Go and check it. I'm like, man, all right, I'll be down. And it was like the middle of football season. And on football season back then, you couldn't talk to me on Sundays. You couldn't talk to me from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. I was football all day. 8 in the morning, 8 at night. Football breakdown, then the games, and then more football breakdown, and then the night games. You could not talk to me until after the night game was over. So it was funny. So after the Super Bowl, literally the week after the Super Bowl, I had one of my homeboys. He took me up there, and the dude who was teaching the class was Zoe. Williams.
Wow.
And so when I get in there, it was funny because I was sitting in the front that day, and Zoe, he didn't know who I was or anything. He didn't know. I wasn't even introduced to him, like, because we kind of came after the class was kind of getting started. So I kind of I sat in the front. I just kind of, we kind of told him, Jamal was like, yo, this is my homie Kev, and that was it. And so it wasn't like, yo, where I'm from or none of that. It was just like, yo, this is Kev. Yo, that's what's happening, what's up. And then I sat down. And so then he started teaching about Christianity. It was funny. The lecture that day was about Christianity. It was like the universe was like knew what I needed to hear, because he started to literally break down all of the put all the holes that were in Christianity. He started to dissect all of that shit. Mm-hmm. He was killing it. He was poking holes in all the Christianity, because there's a book that Malachi York wrote called 360 Questions to Ask a Christian. And so he was putting, and so it really, if you in that book, it kills Christianity. that whole book kills Christianity. But so he was killing it from that book. He was asking all those questions from the book. And I could, I had no answers. It was funny. And then he was teaching the class, but the nigga was looking right at me like he knew I was a Christian. Right. It was funny, but knew it. It was hilarious. But I had never met this nigga before in my life, but he was looking at me like he knew I was a Christian. It was hilarious. And so then after that day, we stayed after class. I met the nigga, and then we started hollering, and I've been on, higher knowledge ever since that day. And then I kind of super sped, because it made me mad, all the stuff that I didn't know. I came up in the world, I had gotten to this point, and all this knowledge existed, and I didn't know any of it. So it made me mad, and I basically locked myself in the house for a whole year and didn't come outside, and studied from 6 in the morning to 6 in the night to 6 in the afternoon for a whole year straight. All books, everything I can get my hand on. A lot of those Malachi York books, dictionaries, encyclopedias. With all, I studied everything. Documentaries. You could not. If you wanted to see me, you had to come to my house. That's powerful. A whole goddamn year. And so basically, I got my knowledge was super sped. So I kind of got what most people, the information that it would take most people, maybe 10 years to learn, I learned in a year. And then it just happened, started from there. That was the beginning.
Damn, that's powerful, Kev. And you mentioned etymology, and the breakdown of these words, you know what I'm saying? But I know from our conversation, we also talked about numerology and how numbers play a factor in us knowing ourselves and also in decoding this matrix. So in your opinion, what are some ways people can use numbers and words to help them on this journey?
Well, numbers and words are energy, and so are numbers, but words being energy or vibration, everything being, frequency and vibration, or energy and vibration. Everything that you utter, has a certain frequency and tone to it. So, you are either empowering yourself or taking power away from the words that you speak, or you can give power away. So you're giving it away, you're stripping yourself of it, or you're not doing either. You're basically you can also stay at a standstill. You can be in a place of limbo where you're not empowering yourself, or you're not really stripping yourself down, but you're not moving. So words, play a part in that. You know, when you speak things into, so like the word destiny, or the term destiny or fate means that which you speak, right? Or the word destiny goes back to the word fate, right? Right. And
Okay.
so fate means that which you speak. So literally means your destiny, you speak your own destiny into existence. Literally, that's literally what you literally speak your own thing, your words, you speak things into existence. Shout out to LeVar Ball, but he was right. Speak it into
Yeah.
existence. You don't even
Yeah.
understand how right he
What
was,
a deal.
because the very
Right.
words
What a
mean
deal he
that.
made.
So,
That's powerful.
so everything, that's why you're supposed to, your mind, everything you say. And that's why even in the Bible, it says in the beginning, there was the word, and the word was with God. Why? Because frequency and vibration, energy, sound, his tone is really is the true thing that matters. Is the very basis of all things in the universe. And so how numbers play a part in that is, if you look at something called cymatics. Cymatics is vibrations relationship to form. So how, if you can in cymatics, they place sand on a plate, and then they run frequency through it, and the higher the frequency, the sand starts to form these high complex patterns. So the higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern it makes. So these are just geometric shapes, forms, right? So each glyph or each number is just a shape, so it holds a certain frequency, every single number. So when you're dealing with these numbers, each number individually holds a frequency, and then you're starting to put all these numbers together. And then you're starting to blend things together, like music. It's the same thing. Numbers, putting all these different numbers together is like putting different instruments together. A clarinet, a trombone, the drums. All of these have different frequencies and tones, just like numbers. So, these are the things that can empower you if you understand how to take advantage of them. But then they can also strip you of power if you don't understand them, and then people are able to use them against you.
Dang. And that brings up like that question that I feel like it gets to me sometimes, bro. And just hearing you, man, and like I said, that to me, man, you're like a book of wisdom, man. And on this journey, I found it hard for me, and I don't know, for other people it could be as well, but to find the right balance, bro. You know what I'm saying, between the spiritual side and the intellectual side. So from you knowing all those things, reading those books, and then coming into a point to putting that thing into action, you know what I'm saying, how important is it for us to keep that balance?
But there's the balance between, you said, spirituality and what?
Yeah, and spirituality and knowing.
And
So like, yeah,
well,
the
well,
knowing part.
well, the word spirit means knowledge within oneself. That's what spirit means. Or spirit, it means the inner breath. So it means to have to be focused on the inside, the inner part of oneself. So consciousness means knowledge within oneself. So to be spiritual is to be conscious, is to have they both mean the same thing. Spirit
They
means,
both mean the same
right.
things. Well, let's rephrase that. How do you balance, or what are some ways that we can balance the physical and that spiritual side? Because we're dealing with both. What are some good ways that we can do that?
Most people have different definitions of what spiritual is, so you got to find out what your definition of it is. There's an actual definition. Like I said, it means to focus. Spirit means to focus on the inner breath thing, which is the inner part of oneself. But then other people, they apply connotations to the word. So like, for me, spiritual means the realization of the connection of all things, the oneness of all things, and by understanding there is no separation, you are empowered through the whole. That's what spiritual means to me. Now, that's just, spiritual is just that's what you are. You are a spirit. Not trying to, what most people call being spiritual. That's acting. That's where you get into the new age. Yes, peace, brother, and peace and all love, my brother, and oneness with the aura. I see your aura. Your aura is all that bullshit. that's fake spiritual shit. Now if you understand how to connect with people, and harmonize with people, that's all free. Harmony is, being on the same frequency and vibration with other people.
Mm.
And, once you find a way to be able to do that, then, you can be spiritual. That's what spirituality is, finding that connection, finding where we vibrate. And, and also, and that's not with just each other, but with all things. That means with the planet. So you got to understand that there's no separation between you and the planet. So when you throw shit on the ground and, you fuck up everything, you use things that, that wreak havoc on the earth, from the taxing of the resources, and you don't put back into the earth, you're not spiritual. You're not understanding that connection. How can you be spiritual when something that gives you life, that you give it no regard whatsoever? The planet gives you life, but you just literally take from it and then and just keep taking and taking and taking, and then give it no thought whatsoever. So, spirituality and, like I said, consciousness is knowledge within oneself. So when you truly become spiritual, it's really to know thyself. That's why the term know thyself is written on the pyramid.
Right.
It's really the term, the saying is like, the kingdom of I forgot how the exact saying is going. It's like the kingdom of heaven, or God is in the kingdom of heaven, or something like that. How does that phrase go? The kingdom of heaven is with God, and those who know thyself will know God, or something like that. It's an old Egyptian saying. Basically, if you know yourself, you will know God. You'll know God in heaven if you know yourself, because you are God. Basically, is what it's saying. And so, being spiritual and knowing thyself is really truly the same thing. That's the balance. Not trying to show people that you spiritual. Peace, my brother. You can have the last rice cake in my pantry, because I'm all for the brotherhood. What the fuck? Like,
right.
If you that person, that's cool, but it's a new age type of spiritual shit that most people think you're supposed to be, and then there's the actual being spiritual, where you just understand this is how things are and you act accordingly. That doesn't mean you have to be fake about it. That's why most people, they vibrate with me and Zoe and Jeff, because we know a lot of this shit, but we don't let it affect who we are. Personally, we don't let it affect us being fake. Like, ain't not one of us is fake about it.
That's dope, man. I appreciate that, bro. So let me ask you this, Kev. I know you're into being physically active. You're a trainer, and that's very important during these times, where everybody is in lockdown and more confined to their homes. So what are some things we can do to ensure we are physically ready to navigate during these times?
Man, during the Roro, the Roro world order, the Corona world order.
Exactly.
Man, mostly this virus only affects you if you're unhealthy. So if you're internally unhealthy, most people think because you're not fat that you're not unhealthy. But that's untrue. So it's about internal health. And that truly mostly starts with your body's pH. Which means pH. Most people don't know what pH means. It means potential for hydrogen. How hydrated the body is, and or oxygenated the body is, because water is basically oxygen, right? H2O.
Facts.
So the more oxygenated the body is, the more powerful it is. It's alkaline, like a battery. When you go to the store, you buy what? Alkaline batteries. That means it's strong. It has power. It's powered up.
Right.
When the battery is dead, it's acidic. Like you look on a car battery, when battery's dead, you got all that acid on the car battery, the car post. So literally, it's the same thing. There's no difference. Your body is exactly the same. When your body's empowered, super powered up, it's alkaline. When it's not, when it's going dead, it's acidic. And so that starts with a lot of it starts with everything. Your mental attitude. plays a part in how you're, the pH in your body. If you're positive, your body's much more apt to be, healthy and upbeat in a higher pH. And if you're negative, then it starts with, your activity, how much oxygen you take in throughout your life, throughout the week, throughout the day and the weeks. Do you move around? Are you exercising? You getting the body oxygenated to get rid of all the toxins that make your body acidic. Because you're breathing, you're taking in a whole lot of them. Just the air in your house is called volatile chemical. I forgot the other term. It's like VOL or something like that. But it's a volatile chemicals that all of your furniture and everything in your house, it releases these chemicals. And actually, the air in your house is actually the worst air you can breathe. It's just toxifying you. It's because your body, everything in your house is made with chemicals. You don't think that these chemicals are being shed throughout? Like this
Right.
just their particles
Right.
of these
Wow.
chemicals are flying off of these particles in your house, which is why everybody should have an air purifier. Then you're outside, you're breathing in all the toxic gas fumes and all the other shit that the chemtrails that they're dropping in the air. So you're getting bombarded with toxic chemicals constantly, every single day. Boom, 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 boom. Then your body's trying to filter all this shit. And so if you don't help it, the toxins get backed up. And so, especially for like, for melanated people, because we're probably the most unhealthy, of the bunch, because that's
right.
the health knowledge filters to the hood last. It always,
Right.
Rich people get the healthy info first, and then niggas get it last.
Facts.
And so, the coronavirus, it targets people, who are overweight, and also it actually seeks out people with high blood pressure. Which is crazy. So you don't even know if you have high blood pressure, but melanated people are always putting hot sauce on this and hot sauce on that. Pino sauce and hot sauce and salsa, and brothers always eating the hottest shit. Which is, if you're if you're balancing the body out, that's fine. But when they're not, then you're eating bad salt, like table salt, which is poison to your body. Your body doesn't know what table salt is. It's only 2 chemicals, sodium chloride, whereas actual salt has like 84 minerals in it. And so they would take the actual salt, wash it down to 2 minerals that are poisonous to your body in combination with each other. Sodium and chloride is poison together.
Wow.
So, this starts to toxify your body. Then they put salt in everything.
Right.
So the table salt that you eat, or that's made, most of the table salt, or out of the 100% of table salt that's made in the world, only 4% of it goes to eat. 96% of it goes to make shit, like your couches, your tables, and cars, and all that shit. It's a chemical to make shit. So most people don't know this. So you're eating a chemical that goes to make actual material, but you're putting it on your food. And so all of these things are toxifying the body. And so when you get hit with, coronavirus, not to mention, like I said, you're not working out, and you get hit with this coronavirus, and it starts to attack, basically what a virus does, it's not alive. A virus is not alive. It's a program. It's a computer program. And it's programmed with RNA or DNA. And so it goes inside and it has to find an entry point. Like, so basically your cells have to have what's called a receptor for the virus. So basically the virus has these like little keys on it. Like if you were to look at a coronavirus, it has these little points on it. So those little points fit into a receptor on a cell, like a male and female. So like a so like a you would plug something into a socket. The same thing. Right. A virus plugs into a receptor on your cell, and then it injects its DNA or RNA into the cell. Now, what happens is the cell is either receptive, resistant, or what's the other one? It's either receptive, resistant, or like probable or something like that. So basically, either your cell will take the virus in and completely replicate it. That's receptive. It's receiving the virus and replicating it. Then the other one, which I can't remember the exact name, it'll take the virus in, but it won't replicate it. It'll be like, all right, what you got going? Oh, nigga, I ain't fucking with you. And then it just won't replicate it. And then resistant is there are cells that won't even take the virus in. So some people have resistant cells, some people have receptive, and then I think it starts with a P. I forgot the other name of it. But you know, that's the one that takes it in, but and won't do anything. They'll just keep the virus inside. So you know, so we don't know which one we are. Like all of us have these different cells within our body. So you don't know which cells you have. But the healthier you are, the more resistant your cells are to the virus. It won't even receive the key in the lock. It'll be like, nah, nigga, get out of here. I ain't fucking
get out of
here.
Yeah, get out of here.
Kick rock, partner. You know, and that, like I said, that's a part of being healthy, because what the virus does, all it does is goes inside of your body. And once the cell receives it, it's like, oh, great. Then it just starts to replicate itself so much until it bursts the cell. All it does, it literally bursts the cell like a balloon. What happens when that happens is, if the cell that it burst was super toxic because you lived unhealthy, then all of the toxins that were in that cell gets released into your body. And then your immune system goes into overdrive, like, oh shit, what the fuck did all these toxins come from? And then your immune system goes in overdrive, trying to take care of all the toxic shit that just got released in your body. Then when your immune system is overtaxed, because it's literally gone crazy trying to, you know, like I said, take care of the toxins and back the fucked up shit that the cell has just released in the body. All of the other bacteria, the bad bacteria and fucked up shit that has been lying dormant in your body, that your strong immune system has been holding off. Now that your immune system is weak, boom, those bacteria and shit are able to take over. Like, oh, hey, nigga, that immune system is down, my nigga. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Let's go, nigga. Let's go right in the store, nigga.
Yes, sir.
They go looting. Basically, they go looting in your body. Because your immune, your body popo, which is the immune system, them niggas, they tired now. They all out of bullets, and so now everybody go looting. All the bacteria goes looting in your body, and that's what happens. Your body, you kill yourself from being over toxified. It's not the virus that kills you. It's literally you kill yourself.
Wow, you kill yourself. And that's powerful information, Kev. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you, bro. You know, before I let you go, Kev, I gotta ask you this question, man. We talking about COVID right now and just the impact of 2020, man. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people who listen to my channel. I know they know what's up, but I know it's a lot of people that I see and I hear from, man, that just really believe that this shit is just a phase and that we're going to return to normal one day. You know what I'm saying? Bro, kind of break that down for me. Are we going to return to normal, or is it a new normal?
And you never return to, there is no normal. Every single day, there is no such thing as normal.
Come on, Kev.
Yeah, normal is a measurement of an angle. It's a geometric angle. It means like 90. It means like 90 degrees or something like that. It means right. It's a right angle. It's all normal means like. So it doesn't mean anything. It's
that's dope.
You know what most people think is normal is there really is no normal. Your next day may look similar to the day before, but it's not the same. Your day is not the same, so there is no normal. Every day is new. It's some new shit.
Damn.
Every day is some new shit. So, but this is the new. This is the real new. And you know, when most people life before March 19th, 2020, you ain't never gonna see that again.
Say that again, Kev.
You're never gonna see the life before March 19th, 2020, and then it's a sad thing because
that's powerful.
It's a sad thing because the world was pretty cool. Everybody was able to touch and be around each other and make a living for yourself. And, you know, you had some freedoms, and now into this new world, this new Corona world order, man, they're about to strip you of a lot of shit because you're going to give it to them through fear by them keeping you in the house. Them keeping you house is unconstitutional. If you challenged it, you would win. The California court just told Gavin Newsom he don't have the right to make statutes or law, to create law. He just told him that. Nigga, sit your ass down somewhere. But if you don't know that, you can't challenge it. He gonna keep doing it. He's gonna keep making law and telling you you can't go here and you can't do this and you can't do that. But if you don't know enough law to challenge the shit, he's gonna keep doing it. So, you know, this is where we are. This is why most people need to learn the law, because when your rights, you know, you don't know your rights, and not even learn the law, just know your rights. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, and that'll lead you into learning the law. But if you don't know your rights get eroded. Just like you don't use them. It's like you don't use your biceps, or you don't stand up, your legs get atrophied. You won't be able to stand up after a certain time. If you just sitting down all the time, try to stand up. And just even now, like, take a motherfucker who's just try to sit down for 24 hours and then stand up after you've been sitting down for 24 hours. See if you're able to walk. Your ass is gonna fall on your face.
Facts.
You ain't had no blood flow in them legs. They ain't been working.
Yeah.
They atrophy for at least a day. They're atrophy for a day. Now think of that. Extrapolate that with most people who don't know shit about their rights. They're in their 30s and 40s and shit, and their rights have been atrophied for 30 and 40 years because they ain't learned shit.
Damn, that's cold.
If you don't, you know, right now, this is what they're trying to do. They know you don't know your rights, so they're like, oh, it's easy to snatch. All we can do is scare the shit out of them, tell them that they're gonna melt like ice cream and when they step out their house, and niggas that give us their rights like they hand willingly. You know what I'm saying? Like they handing over fucking candy. So you know, this is where the world is. They're using your own fear through, you know, and it's funny, melanated people is the niggas who pushing this shit the most, because I guess they're seeing it because the virus was made for melanated people. But you know, I mean, high blood pressure, it was obviously made for melanated people.
Right. Wow. That's true.
There's no more people in the world with high blood pressure than melanated people. So it was obviously made to kill niggas. But there's another, it was funny, there's another German doctor who found out that your melatonin actually kills it too. So it counteracts it. So
yeah,
a lot of melanated people way more people were supposed to die than they did. But you have something called melatonin in your body that actually kills it. And they didn't know that. They didn't count on that.
They didn't count on that one.
But that's how the universe works. It balances it out. So they said if they're gonna create some type of virus to kill off all the humans, the niggas, then we're gonna balance it out by saying, oh no, you have something natural in your body that kills that. So no, sorry, Bill Gates. And that's how you know Bill Gates created this shit, because a virus is nothing but a computer program. It literally that's all the virus is.
Come on, Kev. That's fire.
That's why he's so infatuated with it, because he understands it. It's a computer program with RNA or DNA. Each one
that reminds me, bro, of a scene in The Matrix when he had Morpheus locked up in that chair, and he told him, you know, the only thing that mimics and copies you humans basically is a virus. What you're saying right now is so powerful, bro. We're in the age of the information, but in a digital age. And this is like a digital virus. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy.
You should understand viruses because computer viruses. This is why Bill Gates understands viruses, because viruses are computer programs. So he understands it. He's like, oh, I can tweak this shit. I can make this virus do this to people. I can make this virus do that to people. Again, computer programming. So this is why people are like, this virus is crazy. It's weird as fuck. You'll test positive in one nostril and negative in the other nostril. Elon Musk tested positive and negative.
Right.
At the same time.
Happened to Erykah Badu too, I think.
And she tested positive in one nostril and negative in the other nostril.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? This is why, because it's man-made. Nothing made by nature evolves like that. It acts weird like that. It has nature has a certain rhythm and frequency and pattern and style of how it goes, whereas man is chaotic and make chaotic shit. And so this is the true way to understand that, or to know that this was man-made. And Bill Gates coming out with a picture of it on a TED Talk 5 years ago, before this shit actually happened. Come on, man. You gotta be an idiot. You gotta be an idiot to believe this nigga ain't behind it. And all of a sudden, this nigga is the foremost voice on fucking coronavirus, a fucking computer nigga.
Facts.
How the fuck are you the foremost voice on fucking on viruses and medical nigga when you're a computer dude? Oh, why? Because this is you understand computer viruses that are created because you created this one. So
damn.
This is where the world is. This is where the world is today. And if your ass don't get healthy, and also use this time to elevate yourself, the world is at a standstill right now. No one will ever have this chance in life ever again to where the world will stop. So the world is stopped. Literally, it's halted. You can better yourself, elevate your consciousness, your whatever the hell, your knowledge. When the world starts back up, you'll be at a better place when the world starts back up than when it ended. So you don't have to play catch up. Literally right now, there's no one else has ever had this opportunity in history for the world to stop and then you to catch up literally when the world is stopped. And when it starts back up, you can be in a better place than when it starts back up than when you went in the motherfucker.
Powerful.
It's literally your opportunity right now, because they're gonna start this motherfucker back up, and they're gonna do it, in the system that they're creating. This global system. They're trying to create this little global system. But while they're doing this, you can learn the shit that they've been doing to run the world, stocks, the law, all these different types of things, so that when you come out of it, you are damn near bulletproof when they start to try to smash. Because they're believing everybody in the house is just watching Disney Plus, Mandalorian and shit, and not doing anything, not elevating your consciousness, not reading, not doing anything. And that's basically they want you actually in a lower mental state. They want you in a place of turmoil. They want you, no, when is this going to start back? And then, no, they don't want you in there grabbing books and looking at videos, trying to elevate your shit. All right, well, when this shit starts to move here, I'm going to do this. Or when this shit comes out here, I'm doing this. Like there's some cats, there's some comedians who have actually done this. A few cats called, the All Deaf Digital cats. I don't know if you watch their channel, but it's All Deaf Digital. They got a lot of comedians on there, like a dude named Kev on stage, and
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
To hear more, and so all these cats have pivoted in this coronavirus, and they've created online empires, pretty much from the coronavirus. They're way better off now than when they went in. So when the world starts back up, their following and their brand is going to be it's going to be crazy.
Right.
It's going to be absolutely crazy. But everybody else don't believe that you can do that. Like, you can literally stop right now and learn anything. Like, the world is stopped right now. You're in the house. No, nothing's happening. You're not missing anything. So when you're not missing nothing, you can literally sit in the house, learn to be whatever the fuck you want to be, not miss anything, come back out and be a motherfucking master gangster on whatever the hell it is.
Wow.
When the world starts back, because actually the world won't be in the same place. The world will be in a worse place when it starts back. So you can be better when the world is actually in a worse place. Dude, people don't even get it. It's not going to start back and be in the same place where it was. It's going to be in a worse place. You can be better than when you were when the world was when the world was mashing out. You can be in a better place then when the world starts back up, and then the world will still be in a actually worse place, because it's going to take a minute for us to kick back up and get on a roll. So you can be actually super sped up, in your development when the world starts back, which is crazy. No one else ever has this type of opportunity, which is what I'm trying to tell cats. Learn the stock trading game right now.
Come on.
Learn stock trading, because that's a skill that you can take with you around the world and and literally never have to do anything again. It's the skill of making money.
Making
Stock
money.
trading is literally the skill of how to make money, of literally trading, making money. It's insane. You learn the
That's
skill on how to do. Most people, the skill that you learn leads to you making money. But trading is
Exactly.
literally the skill of making money.
Wow.
Cut out the middleman.
It's that powerful. It is
I'm
that
cutting out
powerful,
the
man.
middleman. I ain't got to learn plumbing to go make my money. I ain't got to learn to
Right.
be an electrician to go make my money. I literally just
Right.
got to learn money to make my money. I
Damn.
just got to learn how money is being passed around in order to make my money. It's insane.
That is insane. That's powerful, man. And what a way to end it, man. And that was just great, man. And to learn about law and to learn about stocks with your last video, that was powerful. And how can they find you, Kev? Tell them all your stuff, man, how they can follow you, your products that you got going on, the law book that you got for sale. Tell them everything, bro.
Man, everything, you can find all of my stuff at realnagas.com. That's 2 E's, REELNAGAS.com. And also just the Real Nagas YouTube channel, pretty much. I don't have too much, I don't have social media because I ain't too much time to be doing that back and forth. But YouTube channels and my website, so you can get at me both on that, on both of those.
Okay, sounds great, man. Well, hey, man, I appreciate this, bro. I appreciate the knowledge and the information that you put out today, man, and your journey, man. So salute to you, bro. Much love and much success to you, bro. For real.
Yo, bro, thanks for having me again, man. Appreciate it,
Man,
bro.
anytime. Thank you for joining, man. So this has been another episode of Soulview, y'all. Hope you enjoy. Peace.
Peace.